KoitCast.
Hi Mona, welcome to KoitCast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, you come highly recommended, so here you are. Let's get straight into it. From your perspective, who are you? Where are you from? All that good stuff.
I am a neuroscientist. I'm from Los Angeles. I'm also Persian, that's my heritage, or Iranian, and obviously a lot going on with that in the
Yes,
news
yes.
lately. But yeah, I was always interested in human behavior, so I studied that um, and got a PhD in it. And then somewhere along the way, I had a spiritual awakening, and that's probably what brought me to your channel, not the neuroscience.
Definitely, 100% that. So obviously you just mentioned there you're a neuroscientist. Now, for the non-initiated, what does that mean, and what do you do?
Yeah, so I mean, neuroscience is the study of the brain and behavior. So how they correlate. So how the things that we do and the ways that we perceive, how that correlates with brain activity, basically. And I studied. There's different levels of neuroscience, like cellular, molecular, but I studied cognitive neuroscience, which is kind of higher level human
Hmm.
um, behavior. So the work that I did was using an MRI machine to scan human brains and look at functional and structural analysis of the brain along with behavior.
And you're seeing basically everything firing, everything light up in the relevant regions, presumably.
Yeah, we compare like a brain doing nothing or some control task to the task that you're looking at
I
to
was going
see
to say
what's
that a brain doing nothing. That is that quite difficult to get to.
Yes. Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
so I would struggle with
yeah,
that.
a brain. I mean, if you really want to get to like a quiet brain, or then you have to look at meditators. So for normal
Hmm.
people, just kind of the waiting, zoned out thinking space. Actually, not recently, about a decade ago, they found there was a network that gets activated, and they call it the default mode network. And it's kind of like, yeah, when you're not engaged with a task, you just go into default, which is for most people thinking about the past or the future, or
Daydreaming, that sort of thing.
yeah, kind of mind wandering. Yeah.
Like there's that state where animals, if you touch certain parts of the body or turn them upside down, is that the same thing? Is that the default state for them, like their off state?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know that much about animal brains. Sadly, I don't
No, it's
know,
okay. It's,
but
it's weird
maybe.
because like if you turn I think it's a chicken or an alligator. If you turn it upside down, it just stops all its natural
Um,
behaviours. It sort of like becomes inert almost. And I
it's
wondered if that's a
probably.
similar thing.
I think it's a different mechanism.
Okay. No, that's fair
Yeah, I
enough.
think that's different. Yeah, like no, for humans, there are. I can't think of a. Yeah, I mean, right? There's no like where you totally drop your fight, flight, freeze response. There isn't much in humans that does that.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. Yeah, if you turn me upside down, I don't tend to shut up. So in
Me either.
fact, that'll probably make me scream more. Um, why neuroscience? Why did you choose that field of study?
Well, I was always interested in just the way humans behave, and then specifically why they behave differently with different people. Like, as you move through the different contexts of your life, everyone, I mean, yourself included, like you
Hmm.
behave differently. I always just noticed that. Kind of observed it and thought it was curious. So I actually in high school I didn't really like science. Science is my worst subject. I was very good at every other subject. Science was because what they teach you in high school is boring. It's like to me just like geology or regular biology. So it wasn't until I took a AP in America, like an advanced psychology class in high school that had a chapter on the brain. And then I was like, this is interesting. Um, and so when I went to college, I did my major became, it's called neuroscience and physiology. But it was like all the science basics. And I was pre-medical for a while, but then I volunteered at a hospital and I was like, this is terrible. I don't want to do this. So, and I was like, what I'm really interested in is the brain. So at first I thought I would do neurology or be a neurosurgeon, and then quickly learned that that was very depressing and most of your patients die. And I was like, no, thank you. So so I thought, okay, I'll just go study it further, like get a PhD, and that'll be more interesting.
And here you are, having won that goal in life. Fair play to you. Is the brain the fascinating part, or is it the behaviour of the brain owners?
I mean, I think when you go into neuroscience, like, and neuroscience is a really interesting science because the people who tend to study it are, in my opinion, different than the people who tend to study other sciences because they come from many different backgrounds. They can come from philosophy or theology or just science or psychology. But it draws a lot of different kinds of students. So, yeah, I think they come with like, we come with kind of a bigger picture interest than, I mean, I don't want to upset the other sciences, but that's just my, it's just been my observation interacting with various scientists over the years. But yeah, neuroscientists tend to be what draws them to it is usually a bigger picture thing of like, why
Gotcha.
are humans different? What does this all mean? How does this mass of cells, produce these, amazing behaviors? So yeah, I think it's I think we come to it for to answer bigger questions.
No, I like that. Um, are people slaves to their biology, do you think, or is choice a part of it?
Oh my gosh, I've spent so much time thinking about this. That's still a debate ongoing in the sciences. It's the nature nurture debate.
That's it,
So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I studied psychopathic traits for my dissertation, and so that was a big question in that is like, is somebody born with these traits or is it environment? It turns out for most things, it's both things. So I think there is the ability to have what we call like conscious will and to direct your behavior and change it. But in my opinion, I do think it's difficult to do. I think we are driven a lot by things that we're not conscious of, that like our brain and body have just um, automated to avoid pain, to avoid mistakes, things. And we don't like it's all kind of thrown into the back and turned into like the automatic centers that just run behavior. And since we're not conscious of it, it does run our life to some extent. But you obviously, with things like mindfulness and there's so many practices you can start to do to start breaking those habits that are automatic and unconscious, and then making them conscious. Then you can change them. You can't change what you're not aware of.
Yeah, I imagine everyone's fighting this fight, aren't they? Fighting their body,
Yeah,
really,
it's
even though we
really
need it.
yes, it's very fascinating. Yeah, your body will automatically, like if you pay attention, and again, it's hard to do, but if you start paying attention, like what direction do you face when you enter a room? Do you, and what your body posture, are you standing tall with your shoulders back or are you hunched? And does that change in the environment you're in or who you're around? Like your body has all the answers. So if you pay attention to it, you can start to see, oh, what are the patterns? What am I afraid of? What do I want to avoid? And then you can start to change it.
And, I presume, what your body is communicating to you to stop doing or to start doing.
Yes. Yeah. If you pay attention to your heart rate or, I mean, anything like it tells you, it can tell you a lot. It can tell you everything. It's just you have to listen. And I don't think we're Westerners very good at that.
Yeah, that is absolutely fair. Before we dive into the main topic we're going to talk about tonight, which is like proof of spiritual phenomena and your awakenings, we'll call it that. I think to understand us, we have to look at the history of us and thus the events that shape us. So, could you give me a brief like history of yourself? And then we can see like a from this is very scientific who you were before,
Yeah.
what happened, and where you are now, sort of thing.
Yeah, totally. Okay, where was I for? So I was always really like curious and I loved learning and reading. I so like my parents joke, like I had books. Books were my childhood. So like I loved going to the library. I had a library bag. I would get a ton of books and each time and plow through them and go back and get more. I loved science fiction, and
Good.
any kind of literature. And yeah, so I liked all that. And when I went to college, I was really interested in coincidences. Like I had a lot of crazy coincidences happen to me. And I always had like a high correlation between my dreams and reality and my imagination and reality. And so I was always, but that's just how I lived. It wasn't like a thing I tried to do or paid a lot of attention to. It just was the way it was. Um, and I maybe that drove me to science too. I mean, I'm sure that was part of it, but I never went in like, oh, I'm going to, study coincidence or I need to understand reality. It was never conscious. But yeah, I lived like that. And then when I went to grad school, especially because I was learning about the brain, they teach us that the brain looks for coincidences and it
Huh.
creates meaning and tells narratives. And so a lot of the things that you think are remarkable or, the things that we think are magical, they basically train you that those are, um, I mean, it's your brain doing it, and that like the external world has no meaning and there's no actual coincidence there. It's just that you've created it. And so to properly do science, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but that's the way they train you. To properly do science, they kind of train out that that part. So they train that part out of me. So by the end of graduate school, um, like at the beginning, I was more like, I don't know what a good word is for it, but like open to the mysteries, I
Hmm.
guess, of the universe. And then by the end, I was like, no, everything's the brain, and it's so looking for coincidences, and it's all us. So yeah, by the end. But the one thing I have to say is, as I mentioned, I'm Persian, and in our culture, in our true culture, our kind of Zoroastrian roots, we do have more of mystical traditions, divination being one of them. And so my grandmother and my mother well, my grandmother passed, my mother's still alive, that use coffee grinds, like
Oh
Turkish,
yes.
Armenian coffee grinds to intuit things about someone's past, present, and future. And they were really good. And so when I started grad school, because I was in Los Angeles, which is where my parents live, and I would see my mom on the weekends, she started reading my coffee for me. And then I I don't even remember like how I really took it. I think at first I ignored it, but then over time, some of the things she said started to come true. So I started taking notes uh, and and like paying attention. Uh, and I wasn't trained yet. It was just the beginning. So, using the whatever skills I had. Um, but over time, this went on for years, and I realized she was more right than she was wrong. She wasn't always right, obviously, but she would know things that there was no way she could know, and she would see things like months in advance. And so I couldn't explain that with science, obviously. I just kind of kept it separate. Like I lived in this cognitive dissonance. I just kept it separate, and thought, well, this is interesting, but I can't explain it. So I kept it separate. And then that's how it was for a long time after I graduated. I mean, I got a job. And then it between 20, I would say 2016 to 2018, a lot of things happened. A lot of things, like mostly bad, but some
Oh
good
no.
happened in my life. And then, um, and like one of them I write about in the book is my mom had been reading my coffee, and then for weeks she kept seeing something bad. And she actually told me, which she rarely did, but she's like, I think you're going to get bad news. I'm just trying to prepare you. And then one of our professors at USC was killed, murdered by one of the
Oh whoa.
students, and it was really shocking because he was the nicest professor. And he had helped me with my dissertation experiment, one of them. And so that was shocking, but the whole thing of like my mom having seen it weeks in advance disturbed me because it was death and not like something, like losing money or a job opportunity. Like it was death. And I was like, well, how could someone's death be foretold? And I didn't like that. It upset me. So but I was very busy at the time. I had just gotten a new job. So I didn't think about it too much, or I didn't have time really to dive into it. So like a series of events, that was the most dramatic, but things like that started happening, or I started noticing them more between 2016 to 2018. And so by 2019, I was kind of having this like existential crisis of like why are we here? Is this all we do? Wake up and go to work, and like this is boring. And
Yeah,
uh,
it's a standard life, isn't it? That they try and force you into. We'll have none of
yeah, I was
that.
like, oh my God, this is so boring. Is this it? And then also all the other stuff in the background, the death and the divination, and I guess I just kind of got curious and started exploring outside. Oh, because I thought, oh, I went to science for answers, and I left like graduate school with no answers, like basically thinking scientists don't know much, even though we pretend like we do, or nobody has it figured out. Like we don't really understand much. So then I started broadening what I was reading, and then it led me to all these like philosophy books, but then also spiritual books, stuff that like as a scientist I had a tough time reading because there's also a culture of arrogance of like, oh, this is stupid and like it's unscientific and how could you read that or believe it? So I had to battle that when I started like mental mentally battling myself. But yeah, I started exploring those and then eventually looking into the science because I was like, well, has there been any science or I mean, it's hard to study some of this stuff, but some of it you could definitely study. And then I found like some of it had been studied, like some of the psychic phenomena um and other parts of it. So yeah, it led me down this path of like voraciously reading, getting all these books, and then talking to people who were mystics or intuitives, and then the scientists who were doing the research, and then my own colleagues to be like, do you guys believe, anything weird or like has anything weird ever happened to you? And they all had stories, and they were all
Most
like,
people do. That's the weird thing.
yeah,
But we say it doesn't
yeah,
exist, but everyone's got 3 to 5 stories of stuff that's happened to them.
yeah, they'll make like a, preamble about how they have to make a preamble about,
Yeah.
about how who knows and whatever, and then they'll tell some crazy story that's happened to them or someone in their life that they know who's always right about something or can tell something's gonna bad's gonna happen. So, yeah, I mean, so that like little personal journey opened my mind, like, or kind of gave me permission to open my
Or it
mind.
all gave you your mind back because it seems like you were
Yeah.
open at the beginning, you were funneled down into the logic, and then you realize, actually, hold on, there's more, and then you opened it back up again.
Yeah,
That's
I
what it
was way
looks
more
like.
open in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, it's weird that, isn't it? How I understand why science does it because what it wants you to do is filter down all the unnecessary crap that it would call it to get you to the logic of the science. But it might be throwing away great data. That's the bit.
Definitely. Yeah, and it's not like science itself is like that because science itself is just a tool, but like it's just like
It's the
variables and
people.
controls and that, but it's the culture.
Yes.
It's the culture that decides. Well, and then as I was reading, I learned it's well, they never teach you the philosophy behind it. They're never like, this is the philosophy of science, that like we assume the basis of reality is materialist and physical. That's just an invisible assumption. No one ever like states it. And then no one is ever like, there's alternate models of the world in philosophy, like panpsychism or whatever. I can't even think of another one right now. But yeah, there's other there's other models of reality that we ignore in order to do science. They don't even tell you that. And then when I hit that literature, I understood a lot better. I was like, okay, I see. So the problem with the culture of science is they have this assumption that the world works like this. It's just physical matter, and any other model doesn't work, and we ignore it. And in fact, if it's anything else, we look down on it. I don't know why that had to come in, but it did somewhere.
Yeah, it is a strange thing, but I understand because it's people ultimately that run science, and it's people that have their own fears that will then exclude certain things that they're not comfortable with. It's just that, isn't it? And they're the
Yeah.
gatekeepers essentially.
Yeah, a lot of it is control. I mean, the type of person who goes into science is someone who likes to control and understand and be right. So, yeah, they have a lot of
And be right, yeah. It's my journal, it's I'm going to publish. I'm right, you're wrong. Until they're
Yep.
proven wrong later on, which seems to be the case a lot.
Oh, yeah, and they do not like being proven wrong. It's mm.
It isn't. See, the thing is with science, it's not a hard and fast 100% that's what it is. Because most science gets disproven along the way somewhere, doesn't it? Or
Yeah, everything's a
upgraded, at
theory.
least.
Yeah.
Yes.
We never say we've proven anything. You're never supposed to say there's proof of anything or we've proven anything. Like everything's a theory because things change all the time because you don't know what you don't know. And then when you know, you update the
Well,
model.
exactly. Because everything might be true for Earth, but as soon as you step to the moon, as an example, just I know that's a throwaway example, there might be different variables. So then you can't say it's always correct because we saw it here on Earth. It's different.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, another assumption we make, which maybe there's a reason for it, I don't know. But yeah, is that the laws don't change either. The laws don't evolve. That there's like a set of laws, right, that we use in science, and we just assume that they don't change. So, I mean, there's so many assumptions in everything that we do that we state. So, it's not perfect.
No, but it is what it is, and we can see the flaws in it. But that's good because I'm actually very much like yourself, right? And I say this quite a lot on this podcast. I'm a 50-50 guy, highly logical, scientific almost, but I also have this big open side to all the what everyone says is woo, but I just think is the true reality of what's going on around us. And you seem to be exactly that. Would you class yourself as a 50-50 person, or are you different now?
No, yeah, I'm open. I mean, I definitely think, oh, I mean, yeah, as a scientist who's like stepped into a little bit or explored the spiritual world, I do actually very much appreciate like bringing discernment and not jumping to conclusions. So I like logic, right? Like I
Yeah,
really
yeah.
still appreciate that because when you step into the spiritual world, I mean, some people you can just fly right off. And that's fine. I mean, if you want to do that, I'm just saying like the spiritual world is not as concrete, obviously categorized, catalog. It's just not. And so I think bringing some discernment is healthy.
Definitely healthy for the human mind because actually most people are grounded in this reality, if this is a reality around us. And so to just suddenly go miles out and say everything's like this is a different
Right.
thing that would you know alienate people, wouldn't it? And you've got to bring people along for the ride on any scientific journey.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, if you want to start looking at it, quote unquote, scientifically, then yeah, you definitely have to bring some discernment and logic and caution.
Completely agree. So let's have a look at your journey. um, what science did you do, or what proof did you look at? Can you go into where your awakening started, etc., and what how you progressed along that?
Yeah, it was um so my mom was doing readings for me, and then I live in Los Angeles, and I have a group of girlfriends, so they had been getting some of them had been getting psychic readings for years. So they were like, let's go to a psychic. So I actually went with them once, even though I was like, this is stupid. But
Did you really
but
think this is stupid, or was it part of you just saying that because you want to be with sciencey stuff?
well, At the time, I didn't believe it because it
Oh,
was
okay.
like one of those shops that was like, you know, like a little psychic shop, and they didn't charge a lot. And I was like, I don't know, I just didn't believe it. I also had zero experience, so I mean, I just didn't know. And I guess, unconsciously, I had also picked up from culture that, like psychics are frauds. But so my friends and I would go, and we're like, well, if they're guessing, like people say, then we should be able to swap readings, and then the readings would be true for whoever. Like if we swap them with each other, they should be true for each of us or whatever. And so it didn't work though. Like they were specific to each individual person. Not they weren't always totally right, or like, some of it was future stuff. It's like who knows. But but that was enough, like to for me to start getting more interested.
Hmm.
Uh, and then I think yeah, I heard the first book I actually read, the first like actual me taking a step like into reading something was Many Lives, Many Masters. And it was because I had by Weiss, and I had heard Chelsea Handler, who's an American comedian, she had mentioned it on a podcast in passing. So I ordered it, and I thought it was a psychiatrist case study, which it is, but it was about past life regression. And so when I
Nice.
started reading it, I was like, what am I reading? But but it was such a great book. It's like a short book. It's like a great story. And the psychiatrist was, or is, he's still alive, a Yale and Columbia educated. I think he was an atheist. I mean, I think he was Jewish, but he was kind of like an atheist and didn't really believe in any of that stuff. And so he tells this story, like this interesting story of how he ends up using past life regression to heal this patient of his that nothing else after a year and a half, none of the other methods he was trained in healed her. So he turned to this and it worked. And he was like, I don't know what to say, but therapeutically, when nothing else worked, this worked. And then he had these experiences in the book of these like quote unquote master spirits coming through the patient when she was kind of in a trance and telling him things that and this was the 80s, so there's no like internet or anything, but saying things about his life that there's no way his patient could have known. And so he ends up becoming convinced, like maybe there's something going on here. And he starts doing past life regression. So I read all his books.
Yeah.
and
You dived
and
down the
then
rabbit hole, didn't you? Literally. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So I devoured all his books and then found some other past life regressionists like Michael Newton and Roger Woolger. So I read all their work too. And and it really just fascinated me. I just had a big like question mark, like how could this be? Like how could this be where you put someone in a trance and then like no matter their background, like and most of them were Westerners, right? These were Western, I think they were all in America, psychiatrists or therapists, so mostly American patients, you know, saying that the kind of structure of life is reincarnation. It wasn't even a popular belief system. I mean, it's not the most popular belief system, but I think it's like a quarter of Americans believe in it. But, saying like that's the structure of reality, and then just this kind of story of, oh, we reincarnate to learn lessons and all these like fantastic, and then, well, the fact that the patients were actually healing from stuff, which that really fascinated me because I come from neuroscience where we're like, oh, all these disorders, like we don't know where's depression in the brain, where's anxiety in the brain, where are phobias. And then reading these case studies, I was just like, what? Like this is I couldn't make sense of it, but it was interesting. And each of those books listed other books. So I went to read, about near-death experiences, like Raymond Moody, his books,
Oh,
and
yes. Yeah.
Bruce Grayson's work. And um, it just was a launching off point. And then also I think into the psychic phenomena. So I started looking into the research for that, and there was a lot of research on that, like funded by the U.S. government, that had been replicated since then, and then realized there were still people doing like research in the field. That was really surprising. Um, and especially since I started reading the actual scientific papers and saw that some of the what are like protocols that they used were things that I was familiar with, like that we had used in our lab. And so I could read them and kind of like it was important to me so I could assess if it was a good experiment or not. And like they were good. They were good experiments. It was good statistics. And so that was like a turning point because I thought, okay, there's just too much evidence that the model that we have is must be wrong because like I can't see how this could fit into our current model. So yeah, that was kind of the beginning of like me flipping the worldview.
Did a question for you, and this will say how strong you are or less strong. Did it shatter you, or did it just inspire you to think
Oh
differently?
no, it
So when you
shattered
say
me.
flipped, it did
No,
shatter
it
you.
totally shattered me. No,
Oh
I was like
wow,
crying, sobbing on the
really?
floor.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Um, yeah, because well, at the time, I mean, well, I didn't know it at the time. It took a while to realize why. But yeah, it's because your whole identity, well, anything that threatens your identity is a problem to you
Yes, loss, isn't it? In a
emotionally.
way, it's a grieving a loss of that to a
Yeah,
human
and
being.
well, and that comes after, but it's like before the loss is conflict. So like your ego structure, your psyche, like will do anything to protect its identity. And so when it's threatened, and I'm just saying this based on literally personal experience. Like,
Sure,
I
sure.
mean, yeah, yeah, later I went and read about psychology, but this was the experience was uh like you actually go into like a fight flight response and um like you feel threatened by this like idea that you have it wrong and that like your identity as a scientist and whatever, there's all this stuff you're not really conscious of, but oh, suddenly I was conscious. Oh, okay, part of my identity as a scientist is like I said, being right, or it's like knowing. And now suddenly I have to say I don't know, or that maybe some of this evidence that we look down on is not as uh, hokey as we think it is. And and all of that was really mentally difficult. It was like torturous, actually. And then eventually, when I finally convinced myself there was enough evidence and you have to accept this, otherwise you're a fraud. Then, like you said, then you have to grieve. Then I had to grieve like whoever I thought I was.
And where did it go from there? Because presumably, if you have this acting on you, right, and your self identity has been shattered, then you have to build yourself up again. Presumably, you have to tell somebody about this. Are you telling your colleagues like about all the stuff you're reading, etc.?
I did at first. Yeah, I'm one of those very annoying people who, when I get into something, I share it with everyone and
Whether
make
they
them
want to
read it.
hear it or not, yeah, megaphone on the corner. Hello.
I like bought the book for people and sent it to them and was like, can you please read this and get back to me?
And did
Like,
they do it? And did they?
some did, some
Good.
didn't. Yeah.
They did the homework.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't know if I would read a book. I mean, I probably would read a book if someone sent it to me because but yeah, it was, so the reactions varied a lot. I don't think that I don't think it had the same effect, clear, obviously, on everyone. I think maybe I was hoping that it would, that they would all be surprised and shocked and like, just like me, want to learn more. But you can't force people onto a journey that they're not ready for or don't want to go on. So yeah, some of them, um, you know picked it up, picked the thread up, and we would have great conversations. Some of them wouldn't engage at all, which is fine. And then others struggled and then eventually came around. I mean, there was a wide range. I'm telling you, I told everyone, I had my like childhood friends, my scientist colleagues. I was very annoying. I made
Your
all of
phone bill
them
was massive, wasn't it? Yeah.
like I was like, read it, and we're gonna speak on Thursday. Like, but yeah, I think it was educational to do that because then I learned that it's actually a wide variety of responses. Not everyone is going to respond the same way that I did. And for some people, they would react really strongly at first, like no, and they would get angry every time I brought it up. And then later, down the line, they would look into it on their own, get interested, and then come back to talk about it. So it was just a lesson in like, timing and respecting people where they are.
Well,
And
you recognise that pattern anyway because you went through it. didn't you?
Right,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Like I'll be
exactly.
like,
You
okay,
knew.
they're in step one, so back off.
So where did that lead you then? Following reading all the books, did you go into science yourself into any of this? Did you do any research into things?
I ended up writing a book about my experience and then the research I found that I thought was compelling. Not all of it. Like there were a lot of books already that outlined the evidence really well. So I kind of just looked at more recent papers or things that I thought were very compelling. Um, And then I was working at USC, the University of Southern California, which is also where I got my PhD.
Hmm.
But and then I left because I felt, well, I had been wanting to leave for a long time, and kind of just got stuck there with COVID. But so I finally left in 2021 and then started my own consulting company. And most of that has been mainstream, like literature reviews, regular science for smaller companies. Um, while at the same time continuing to do like a lot of research. So I mean, I was never interested in doing science on this stuff, mostly because I was just not interested in doing science in general anymore.
Oh,
So,
okay, fair enough.
like, yeah. But I love reading, and compiling studies and analyzing it and kind of like writing up reviews for myself or whatever. Um, in a book. And oh, I mean, I started writing about psychedelics too, because that was part of, so I started like a Substack and started writing about the science of psychedelics, which led into altered states, and then writing about the dark night of the soul. So I did continue writing about the stuff as I went through it.
So if you're not in love with science as much as you used to be, where is this journey heading for you, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm still in it. Like I thought, um, when I wrote the book, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, I could keep doing this kind of thing, like where I write, I don't know, find more evidence, write about it, etc. But but I'm also the kind of person that gets bored quickly. And so
I know all about
what
that one, yeah.
yeah, so I was kind of like after a while, I just got bored with that. I think which is why I moved into the psychedelic space. Then after a while, got bored with that. And then I was going through the dark night. So let me also say this whole time I thought I was going through an intellectual spiritual awakening, like all of this is intellectual as we're talking about. But then in 2022, it became clear that I was actually going through, well, I didn't know until 2024 the word for it, is a Kundalini awakening. But in 2022, it became clear I was going through something physical, like a physical awakening, because I started having all these whatever they're called, symptoms. But I didn't have a word for it until I accidentally heard a podcast in 2024 where I was like, they were listing the symptoms. I'm like, oh my God, that's what I have been going through. And it was called a Kundalini awakening, which I didn't know much about. Um, but that, if for those who don't know, is like kind of in my this is my wording of it. It's a brutal spiritual awakening. It's like it's more tends to be more somatic, and I had such trouble explaining to people in my life like what's going on that I finally went to ChatGPT not too long ago to ask it like, can you please describe a Kundalini awakening in biological terms for a layman. And it would gave this like beautiful definition. It was like it's a complete reorganization of your nervous system. So it's physiological, physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. Like, and it's super intense. And it was kind of helpful to tell people, because everything else I had read was very spiritual. Like if you look up Kundalini awakening, it says the Kundalini energy coiled at the base of your spine is released and it works its way up your chakras through your body, uh, healing all your traumas. Um, and to a Western scientist, like what? Like that, like,
Yeah, I'm thinking
like
what right now because I'll
Yeah,
need it
like I'm
explained to me.
like that's not helpful. But the experience of it was intensified emotions. Like I can't explain. Like the normal person feels emotions, like the way I used to feel emotions is like a wading pool, right? Like you just have your feet in the water. And then a Kundalini awakening is like the depths of the ocean. It's like that is the size of an emotion, of each emotion is completely intensified and overwhelming. So it knocks out all of your defenses. Like normally most people walk around, like I mentioned, trying to avoid pain, right?
Hmm.
Unconsciously avoiding. And then you'll do things, these habits, like watch TV or whatever people's habits are, drink alcohol, to avoid feeling. And then in a Kundalini awakening, it's impossible to suppress or reduce the amount of the feeling of the emotion. Like you're forced to feel all of it. It's horrible. It's horrendous. So like all my emotions were super intensified and overwhelming. I mean, it turned to a point where I couldn't function. And then physically, it was very strange, but I could feel like they say I mean, I don't know if it's actual energy. I don't know anything. And there hasn't been that much research on this, but it felt like there were snakes running through my body. And actually, I started painting in 2021. I want to
Hmm.
show you.
Yeah,
Can I
do
like
it.
move my?
Because
Okay, I
this is
started
interesting.
painting.
I don't know too much about this whole Kundalini stuff.
Yeah. So the symbolism for Kundalini is snakes, these two snakes going up the spine. It's actually the symbol
Is it
that
the
they use in
medical
Western
symbol?
medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. And so that's what it feels like. And the theory is that the energy runs through your body, hitting all these blocks that you have in your body, like um, what's that author? Oh God, the American one who does the trauma in the body. Vessel Bessel van der Kolk. Okay, sorry.
I would
He
never have
wrote.
got that name.
Oh, I know. It's like I always forget his name because I'm always like I think Bessel van der Kolk. Um, he The Body Keeps the Score. That's his book. So
Okay.
he's this American psychiatrist. He was one of the first ones to study PTSD, but he found that a lot of it's kept in the body. The body remembers the trauma, not just the brain. So anyway, and so the thought is this Kundalini energy is released in some people and it moves through the body like this, like in waves, hitting these trapped emotions in your nervous system or your fascia or whatever, no one knows. And they're released like full force, which sucks for you going through it, but ultimately is good for you because then you're, healed. So in 2021, I did not know I was going through this, but I started painting. So it's obvious unconsciously I was aware. So let me turn I
Yeah,
have all
do
my
it.
paintings
Let's have a
on my
look.
paintings on my wall. Oh, let me turn off the oh my God, my living room's a mess. Okay, let
No
me
one to
hold
know.
on.
No one to know.
Let me turn the video off and let me unblur it. Because that's gonna be confusing if not. All right, so here this and then where's the blur? Okay, so these were my paintings from 2021, and
Hmm.
they're all like wavy.
Waves, yeah.
And I have like so many more all over the apartment, but that was so that's what I was feeling in my body, but I wasn't even consciously aware of it yet. It just became super conscious in 2022. So,
Well,
oh, there's more
I have a
background.
question for you then.
Yeah.
Is the depth of feeling that you're describing, right? Is that the standard state for humans, but we put this almost like a Star Trek Mr. Spock thing or filter on it to suppress the emotions down so that they don't cause us too much pain?
Yeah.
Is that what it is,
So,
do you think? And the
yeah.
doors were open for you and therefore you became normal.
I mean, a normal is an interesting word because so I read this book by Tara Springett, who is a Tibetan Buddhist, but she had a Kundalini awakening. She's written a few books on it. It was one of the few books I read. Um, and she explains it like this, like most people are a block, their emotions are a block of ice.
Right.
So, like, yeah, normally you can't access them. They're repressed, they're suppressed, they're avoided, and they're frozen. Like, you literally can't access them. And then in some people, the Kundalini or whatever awakens and it starts to melt the ice. And then as it melts, that like water starts to move through, but it hits blocks of ice, which is how it feels in your body. And then it'll melt those. And eventually all the ice will melt and into steam and it'll be gone. But yeah, normal people just live with their blocks of ice of suppressed emotions, which clouds your perception. Like I said, it drives all these unconscious behaviors and controls your perception and your attention. We know that from neuroscience. So now
See,
I'm
what
like mixing.
I'm trying to think of here is whether you've evolved or whether you've turned off the filter and got to the default state, which is the high depth of feeling that we're not at. We're a not non-default state. People like me say.
Yeah, I guess if we were operating at our highest potential as humans, we would access the emotions and heal them because then you would clear. It's literally like a clearing. Like everything becomes more clear once you clear it out, like in every possible way. Like your hearing gets like better, your eyesight gets better. Um, to the point where like people say during an awakening sometimes like I can't be like if the light's too much or the sounds are too loud while you're adjusting like it can all be too much
Mm-hmm.
but yeah like it clogs you up. All the stuff that's unprocessed literally clogs you up in every way. And it keeps your brain thinking in certain patterns, like we talked about. Like it's hard to break out of those patterns, which is why people use things like psychedelics to break the patterns, to think of some things in a new way. So yeah, but another way of doing that apparently is Kundalini awakening, which I do not recommend. Like, I mean, it's gonna be great. Like, it's great. It's already greater now, but is yeah, I would not. And I hear people like do Kundalini yoga or do Kundalini activations. I'm like, oh, you do not know what you are signing up for.
How long were you in the pain state?
I mean, um, so I was It's hard to say, you know. I, looking back, now that I learned the symptoms, I believe it started in 2019 because I do remember sitting in meditation. So this is before I knew anything, right? Like I had
Mm-hmm.
not even started this journey. I do remember sitting in meditation and feeling like my nervous system was suddenly on fire. And it scared me. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll just meditate less. But and the my emotions had started getting intensified at that time. Um, and then that's when I started the spiritual seeking, which is what they say when a Kundalini awakening starts, you suddenly become super interested in spiritual things and like you seek it out, which is what happened. And then in 2022, it just became very physical. And in 2024, someone I love died, and my heart broke, like physically broke.
Mm.
And so my chest, like the front and the back of my heart, started burning and itching as the I guess energy was released, but as my heart broke, and then after that, it started flooding. So it was already pretty bad from like 2023. The were already overwhelming, and I knew something was going on, and I started telling people in my life like I can't go to like a restaurant for my birthday because it's too loud. We have to do something quiet at home. Like, and I would just say I'm because of my spiritual awakening, which, I'm sure they didn't understand, but I didn't have another option. Like I didn't know how else to explain it. So 2023 and then 2024 my heart broke and then it really got really bad. I mean, the grief and then all the other emotions. I mean, I was basically in bed until now.
Really? Wow.
Well, until like, I mean, I was functioning, but not well, obviously. And then I think from July 2024 to like February 25, I was functioning somehow, but I was in bed crying a lot. And then and then by April of that year, I was like, I'm exhausted. Like I'm tired. I'm not sleeping enough. Because I would wake up to cry. So I started actively trying to sleep more. And then I was like, if these emotions are in my body, like I need to get them out because I can't function. So then I started exploring like red light, infrared
Yes.
light, massagers, like I don't know, like all these different devices, and those helped a lot. I mean, they were really hard because anything you release, you have to feel, which is hard.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. Um, but so like last year was literal hell, but I moved enough that by this year of February, which is basically last month, I could finally function a lot better as a normal person. Like I had moved enough. And I think most people who go through Kundalini awakening just let it happen. I don't think people are as like crazy intense or neurotic as I am because I was like, I want to get it all out now. I don't have time to be dealing with this. Like, I want to get as much out as possible. Now that I know, that's what it feels like to me. Anyway, this is my working model of like my experience is, yeah, if I, use red light or a massager like on this part of my body that's really tight, like, my shoulders, my back, a bunch of sadness is released or anger. Um, that's how I ended up being able to map it onto everything. And I was like, yeah, get it out. Let's get it out. Like, let me just get it
It's
over with. I don't
a
want to
very
be.
interesting take that pain is literally emotions manifesting itself in various
Mhm.
areas of your body. Um, and I agree with you. If you've got a massage and that would release it, then fair play. I do want to play devil's advocate on this, and this is not a non-believing you sort of thing, but I want to throw the question at you as you would throw it at yourself, as a logical thinking person. Is there something physical that happens to people that provides these symptoms that we don't call a Kundalini awakening, as an example, that could account for it?
Yeah, I looked into that, couldn't find anything.
No, that's fair
So,
enough. I just wondered. And
no,
had you
I
considered
yeah.
COVID anything? Was that did that play a part? Do you think?
It I wasn't sick. Like it's hard to explain to people. I mean, this is also why I hadn't bothered to talk about it because that's why I asked you before we started filming. I want to hire an animator to show people the fullness of it because talking about it is hard because I can't get everything I need to say out fast enough. Like I wish I could just drop the experience into your
Yeah, I
into
wish you would
people's
as well. Very
yeah
matrixy thing. I
heads.
want to know that.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to explain. And initially what happened was I was trying to explain it to the people in my life, but I ended up just getting so tired. I was already exhausted. Like I'm grieving. I'm like already so tired from all the emotions. And then I'm just trying to tell people I'm tired and I can't do anything. Just give me some grace. If you don't want to be my friend anymore, fine. Like I'll have to deal with that later. Sorry. But I'm trying to explain this and yeah, and then they would and they're just trying to be helpful. It all comes from a good place. I totally understand, but they would just make suggestions or observations that would drain me of more energy. And it's like I don't have anything left to give. So I stopped talking to everyone.
No, that's fair
I
enough.
mean, not like totally, but I stopped talking about it, except to give small updates. But yeah, it was like clearly no one understands, and I don't have the energy, so we're just not going to do this.
No, it is. It's a hard thing to understand if you're coming across it fresh, like I am as well. What is the purpose of it?
Um, so the purpose of it is so you can be a human at your highest potential, I guess. And to
Okay.
be honest, I don't have a lot of answers because I haven't done a lot of research. Because as you can see from the story, I've been focused on healing myself rather than reading about it academically. I also didn't want to put ideas in my head about what it is or should be. I just wanted to experience what was going on without trying to categorize it or catalog it. And so I haven't read a lot. I read one book because it was called Healing Kundalini Symptoms, and I was like, that sounds good. So I read that one, and it was the one I explained that gave the metaphor, which was helpful. She also, I should say, the block of ice, like if a Kundalini awakening, I think a lot of spiritual awakenings do this too, just takes whatever is unconscious and brings it up to consciousness. And so then you heal it, and then you, in theory, I guess, it's kind of interesting being a neuroscientist and talking about this because I can see what they mean better now. The way the spiritual texts talk about it is, oh, you'll be a free being because you'll be free of the whatever you were carrying, the karma, the emotions, the unresolved stuff. And yeah, as a neuroscientist, I can see that now too. It's like whatever you that was unconsciously driving my behavior to avoid pain or this or that comes up to consciousness. I end up resolving it, and now I can make, choices that are not based on habit anymore, ultimately. And
So
I mean, I think that's better.
no, that makes sense now. So I was going to expand this out and say why you, but you've just kind of almost answered it. You had a need for it through
I
some
don't know
measure of
why
blocks
need.
that it is why it happened, presumably.
Nobody knows why it happens. Nobody even knows how many people have them. I mean, I found a group, a Kundalini collective. It's a couple
Hmm.
hundred of people, but nobody knows why. Yeah. Although, like I said, I haven't done. I intend to obviously do a very deep dive into all of this soon, but I haven't done that yet. So I don't have statistics, but I do know for a fact this has not been studied that well.
Hmm.
So. Um, I already know that.
Well, when you've done the research in like 5 years' time, let's reconvene, and I'd love to know all about it. And this is why I'm glad I asked that question earlier. Is it some measure of evolving? And to me, that's my initial gut reaction.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they say in the text. Yeah, that's what they say it is an evolution of consciousness.
Hmm.
Because you basically shake off all the dirt that clouds your perception, and then allegedly you can see clearly and make choices and be of service to others, in theory. And you're just more of a And that does end up happening. Like it's hard to put into words, but you do just see things more clearly, like situations with people, because a lot of the things that clouded like your opinions, your judgments that you had before kind of start to fall away. And so you just start seeing people more clearly and situations more clearly. Not perfectly. I'm not, done. I guess presumably if someone were to heal everything, which I don't know if that's possible, I guess you would be an enlightened being. But I don't know if that's possible for humans to like eliminate everything.
Yes, how are we ever to know that either? Because someone could
Yeah.
say to you, "Oh, by the way, I'm an enlightened being. I've healed everything." Well,
I'm
how can you measure that?
I've met too many people who think they're enlightened beings who are clearly not to
I didn't
ever
claim that, so it's not me. It's interesting you mentioned choice a moment ago because I wrote down how key is choice. What do you think to that? Yeah,
What, sorry, could you
how
ask that again?
key is choice?
Well, Carl Jung has this quote that I love. He says that what is it? He's like, whatever you don't make conscious or whatever remains unconscious becomes your fate. So, yeah, I guess that is a question. I mean, sometimes this journey has been so difficult. For me, as for many people I've spoken to who've had spiritual awakenings of a different flavor, they tend to disrupt your life. They tend to like destroy everything. And then so they're not pleasant. Um, I know people want them. Like if I could go back in time, I don't know, I might not take it, honestly. I would rather be unconscious if I knew how much pain this was going to be, how painful it was going to be, and what it would cost me. But I mean, here I am.
Well, that's the thing, and I think in your journey, you sound relatively new to the. We'll call it a completion of the transformation. Yeah, it may not be a completion. You may just be towards the end. But if we
Yeah.
did say speak in 5 years' time, it would be interesting to know if your life is now super amazing because of that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I I don't know.
No, you
The
don't know at this stage. That's the thing, but you probably will
Yeah.
find out, won't you, across the next part of
No,
your life.
yeah, I mean, I will say reading that book by Tara Spring, it was helpful because she does say like yeah, she's like, after after like the initial ice melting and the chaos, she's like when it does stabilize, then it's really great. It is a gift. It's like, and you'll see because of various reasons. So, I mean, I do remember when I read that I was like, okay, well, thank goodness for that. Because before that I wasn't clear like on what is happening and why. And is it going to be like this forever? But after I read that, I'm like, okay, so okay, sounds po like it could be positive. And so it was helpful to read that one book.
Hell yeah. There's despair here and there's hope over there, and it's a journey
Yeah.
between, and then you're going towards the hope. Um, Back to some of your research on the um, studies and things that were done into psi phenomenon.
Mhm.
What did you come across? What you would consider proof of psi phenomenon?
In the studies.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Anything you
Yeah, I
researched?
think there's like the studies are. And just keep in mind the effects are small and like that's sometimes the criticism and people would be like, oh, it's a small effect size. But if it wasn't, it would be like X-Men, and we're clearly not X-Men. So they're very subtle, but they are there over like large amounts of people replicated over many studies. So an example of one is um so they'll show you you'll go in for an experiment. They'll show you random pictures, a mix of random pictures, and the pictures can be either like a neutral picture, like a lamp, or it can be like an evocative picture, like a murder scene or something, um, something that is emotionally evocative,
Hmm.
uh, positive or negative. And so let's just say that, like neutral or emotionally evocative. So in a normal neuroscience experiment, when you see something emotional, your skin sweats and your heart rate increases. And so, like in a normal experiment, we would compare those two things. So, in some of the psi experiments, they found that the body, even when the pictures are presented randomly, the body responds with like heightened, what we call skin conductance, but basically increased sweat before the emotional pictures were shown. So, and it's not learning because the pictures are chosen randomly by the computer, but it's like somehow the body knows it's about to see an emotional picture and it responds. So that's one example. There are examples where you use two people, you put them in separate rooms that are, shielded from each other electromagnetically, and one person is the sender and the other person is like a receiver of a telepathic communication. And so then the person who's sending, they again ran a computer randomly chooses, let's say, one of four images to present to the person, and then they're like, okay, it's a sailboat. Send the sailboat telepathically to the other person. And then the other person has to then choose what do you think the person was trying to send you from the four. And then, so the percentage of time that they get it right is statistically significant. So, like, they'll get it more right than wrong. And there's no way, like, that they could be communicating. And we know the odds of that clearly. It's one of four. So,
Was that done
those are
on like psychics doing it, or just your
normal
average
people.
Joe? Whoa.
Normal people. They
Mm.
also found that if scientists did select for people who knew they were psychic or not psychic, like as in they do it for a living, but like just knew they were good at something like that,
Hmm.
then the results would be better. And so they found if they chose totally randomly, just like any talent in the human population, there's a wide range. So some people are like really good at it, some people are not, and then most people are totally unconscious of it. So they did find if you selected for the people who were better at it, you did get better results. If you took a random sample, you could still see the result. It would just be not as strong.
But still proof nonetheless that
Mhm.
regardless of ability,
It'd still
stuff
be,
based
yeah.
on intention is sent.
Yeah, it would still be statistically significant.
And that body thing is proper mind blowing, isn't it? That the body
I
picks up
like that
on.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that tells you
That's why I
nothing and
said
everything all in once. Yeah,
yeah, the body knows. The body's like tuned in.
it's whether the body
Is
knows or whether it's the mind knows and sends the signal, or does the body have its own interactivity somewhere that does it? Do you know what I mean? If
yeah.
if we're
Oh yeah,
separating body and mind, that is.
exactly. Nobody can agree on that to begin with. So
Yeah.
but yeah,
Well,
if you're in it, it could be, yeah, it could be the mind is a some people suggest that the brain, the actual physical brain is a receiver.
yes.
Um, so yeah, it
From
could
the
be its
consciousness field or whatever that may
Mhm.
be. Which leads me to this question to you, and I know this is almost impossible to answer, but I'm going to ask it you nonetheless. What is consciousness, do you think?
Yeah, I have no idea. I do think, I mean, the normal answer is awareness, being aware that you're aware. Um, and I think that, like, from a normal 2D perspective, that's not a very impressive definition. I think when you go into altered states and you start to expand that awareness, then like, I don't know, the awe of how amazing awareness is becomes more evident. So I don't know what it is. Like, is it energy? Is it information? Is it the basis of reality? You know, I don't know. I'm open. I've read so many models, so
I,
many different scientific models. Um, and like, because at one point I was determined to find the right one, and then I just read so many, I was like, oh my gosh, who knows? Who knows? It could be
well,
any or none.
later on, I'm going to ask you to put your chips all in on one model. So give that some thought, and then later on you can say which one
Okay.
you think, how you think the universe is made up. Um, what are Gansfield tests?
Okay, Gansfield. Well, I think so. The one I described where there's two people, those that actually is a Gansfeld,
Oh, okay.
except that I forgot to mention that I think for both of them, what they do is they'll give you like goggles to block out light, and then they'll
Mm-hmm.
give you some kind of like white noise, um, headphones to block out sound. So your senses are like, it's total blackout. And both of them I think, do that. And that makes it easier to receive the signal or send the signal. That's the Gansfeld part of it, I think.
Oh, I got you. To be away from outside stimuli, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you've spoken with, well, you will have done anyway, numerous scientists, and you say government officials as well along the way. What's the willingness now, do you think, to discuss the paranormal openly and without the shame or dismissal?
It's more, it's definitely more open. I think psychedelics played a part in that. Um, because yeah, psychedelics has really pushed the boundary in science a little bit further because weird things happen on psychedelics and um, there's all this literature around it. So that's it's also pushed the boundaries of, I guess, consciousness, like the study of consciousness in science, which used to be taboo actually, and a career killer, like even 2 decades ago. It's definitely pushed that. And now there's, centers for psychedelics and consciousness research popping up all over the place. So it's a lot more open. I don't know if it's right, it's definitely not totally, but there are individual scientists who are open. Actually, my one of my collaborators and I do an event every year at the Society for Neuroscience conference. We started in 2022, and it's a science and spirituality event. And we just kind of put a call out for like, have you ever had an experience you can't explain or whatever? And the first year we did it, we had 50 scientists, which I thought no one would come, 50 come. And then every year it's increased. And this year we had over 80. Like the room was filled to capacity. People were standing. We didn't get a count. Maybe it was 100. I don't know. We didn't get a good count because we're actually not very good at logistics.
At counting, yeah.
We're not very good at like logistics of the room or counting people or getting emails. But but there were a lot of people and they were very engaged and they were all there for a different reason. And some of them were totally wacky, some of them were very normal, some were just curiosity, some were because they studied psychedelics, but it was a wide range, but there's definitely an increase in interest and willing and openness. Oh, and oh my gosh, they kept thanking us a million times for providing a space to talk about this stuff. And so like, and they kept saying there is a need for this,
I
like
agree.
spaces like this. Yeah.
It's going to take something like that to change the mainstream perception of the wider scenario in which we live, I think. So, yes, you're doing good work there, I think.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun. I like those meetings because you get to hear why they're there, which I'm always curious about.
Well, and hopefully that grows and grows and grows. And like I say, that'll become, it won't be like something to hush in the shadows. By the way, I've had this experience, but don't tell anyone sort of thing. Everyone will be open about it. And then it can become into literature more, and then be taught at school so that people aren't suppressing that stuff out of us.
Yeah, if you can't talk about it, I mean, the first step is able to talk about it, admit it, and then sharing experiences, and then we can study it. Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. And that should also lead to less, in theory, of emotions being repressed because you're like that sort of thing, and therefore there'll be less need for a Kundalini awakening or
Oh my
other
God.
awakenings
I
because
would hope
people
so.
already be open, won't they?
Yeah, you don't have to carry all the shame around.
Yes, that's what we
Shame
want.
around, yeah, having
Now
these
you've been
experiences.
mentioning psychedelics. Have you done any yourself?
Yeah, I did. It was part of the journey. Actually, let's see. When I did LSD in 2021, I felt my spine felt like it was electric and I had all this energy, and I actually remember thinking in the experience that I had read about this in terms of Kundalini. That was the only thing I knew. But like that it feels like literally like your spine is on fire and then that there's all this energy rushing up and out. And it was like I had to get up and dance because there was so much energy. I
You just
couldn't sit
had
with
to,
it.
didn't you? Yeah.
Had to. I couldn't sit. Like I thought I was gonna explode sitting. It was just too much. But yeah, I used it for personal insight. I think most of the trips were just personal insight. Like you can go in with a question for yourself and then a few hours in, like ask and then you'll get an answer.
And you did?
So mhm, yeah, with
Amazing.
psilocybin, LSD, um, yeah, they were very LSD was the most clear for me anyway. I think it's different for everyone. It was the most clear. It was like, I think I asked, like, oh, what's my biggest problem? Like, this was the beginning of the journey. And the answer came immediately. It just said, you forgot to be weird. And then there was like this montage of events from my life where I guess I don't know, like suppressed, who I what really am just to fit in. So it was this montage, and I just like it all happened really fast. It was like a minute, and I was just like, I get it.
You forgot to be weird. I like that.
Mhm.
Be
Yeah,
authentic, be yourself, is what he was saying. Stop
yeah,
hiding.
super weird.
Yeah. Now, a
And
question, right? You went in with that question. Where do you think the answer came from?
I myself, some deeper part of myself that already knows
Right,
everything.
here's the next stage to that question then. Within you, within here, or without?
I know, I don't think there is a difference, a distinction. I mean, I guess you could say mm, higher self, people would say,
Yeah, that's what
whatever.
I was getting at, is whether it was brain related and we're in here, or is it up there and we are this 100% receiver thingy?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't really, yeah, I think it felt like it just came from somewhere deeper, um, that has a higher perspective.
Yeah.
Uh, that's what it felt like. Yeah.
Now, did you,
But
in
if you,
these
but if,
experiences,
sorry, if you like really wanted a neuroscience answer, it
yeah, go
would
for it.
be,
Go on.
it would just be like, I think the argument in psychedelics research is it allows your brain to break out of the old patterns. So, like, whereas if I asked that to myself in a conscious state, I probably would be like, I don't know, or I'd maybe try to come up with an answer. But when you break the normal patterns, then you can get to things that are deeper, deeper truths. And then so those emerge. But, you know, it's like, who cares? Whatever. I got the answer. It doesn't matter where it
Yeah,
came
yeah,
from.
yeah. As part of your journey into psychedelic experiences, however many that may have been, did you see any what they term as machine elves or entities?
No, I haven't done. I think those are normally seen with DMT, and I haven't done DMT
No, that's
and
fair
then
enough.
DMT. Yeah, I mean, at the time, I would have loved to, but I just never ended up doing it. And then now with the Kundalini awakening, like I don't need anything extra. Thank you.
Yeah, you've had enough then, so to speak. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're done. Um, if you could picture, right, a Venn diagram of science and spirituality, how much do they overlap now?
Oh, not much now. Maybe just a little with the psychedelic research happening.
So still really
Um,
small then. Wow.
yeah. Because yeah, definitely. I like thinking about the even the places. It's really fascinating to read studies on like, oh, the importance of spirituality for well-being or the importance of spirituality for chronic health conditions, or like it's kind of used in that way. Um, it's not as part of the research uh, at all in mainstream science anyway, I would say. So I think that has a, I don't know if it has a while to go, but we'll see what happens with psychedelic and consciousness research. But yeah, it has not been, there's not a lot of overlap. There is a group, I'm part of a group of scientists that was founded in the 70s, for scientists who are interested and it's literally like science and spirituality. So those guys are pretty interesting. Like the things they publish are tend to be more science and spirituality, but mainstream science, not much.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Mhm.
I was hoping you were going to say the overlap is now big, but
No.
still small. That's the shame. But presumably it's gotten bigger. It is moving to a bigger
Yeah, it's
overlap.
bigger. It's definitely bigger. I think it's hard, right? You have to overturn a culture.
Yes, yeah. It's a
And there's
big ship, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, it's not easy to overturn a culture. And there's that joke. There's like a joke in science. Science advances one funeral at a time. So
Mm.
it's like the old people who don't want to let go of their ideas. Good luck changing their minds.
It's true though.
So.
Where they go, sod it. The next one will. Yeah.
But yeah, at our events, we've seen a lot of young scientists come, and they're the ones driving a lot of this, you know, with the questions. Oh, they really amazed me. Some of these first year graduate students just came in and they were just like, let's talk about psychic phenomena. What are the studies? They had all these questions. I was like, wow, we're here.
Yeah,
So
which is great. The
yeah.
dawning of a new age. Which leads me to this next question, right? and again, I might be too early with this question, but I'll ask it nonetheless. Are studies changing to include any paranormal content, i.e., have textbooks changed and now including some of that world, or is
I'm
it
not that I'm
still
aware of.
logical?
Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, I've not seen any of that.
I think where
Um,
it gets to there, that's when you notice true change in it, I suppose.
There is, okay, I will say this. There is a movement called consciousness education, and I know some of the people in that driving that field, and that is the idea that we start including in education the awareness, of what I mentioned before, that
Mm-hmm.
there's multiple worldviews, that, yeah, it could be materialist, physicalist, but it could also be panpsychist. It could be that consciousness is the foundation of reality. So it's starting to teach that to people. And so there is a huge drive for that, and also just changing the structure of education in a way that focuses on consciousness. So that is starting to happen. It's tiny movement, but it's happening. Like there's here in Los Angeles, there's a group that focuses on it. So
It's got
there's
to
some of
start
that.
somewhere on it, so fair play.
Yeah.
Fair play. I'd like to see that within my lifetime, that changing. Um, Looking back on your work history and all the stuff you've done in your life chapters, if you will, were they necessary to your journey?
I don't know if I have enough, what's it called? Headway, leadway, I don't know, enough distance yet to say. But I mean, I can see how, my scientific training and like the work that I did when I was having my spiritual awakening was digital health, which is using like wearables like an Apple Watch and a smartphone to record, data.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have ended up using a lot of that just for myself, like as I'm studying the Kundalini on myself case study. So I can see how, yeah, some of it, I don't know if I can say all of it yet, but definitely parts of it I can now see like why I had, this or that experience or what I learned, and all these tools I thought I might never use or that are useless have ended up being useful in ways I never
Yes.
imagined. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm highly interested in that aspect of people. And most people I speak to, this is why I ask about history, because I want to know, was it needed, that piece? And it's when at some point you can look back and say, that was for this. I'll slot that piece of the puzzle in there. And then you're building up the bigger picture of your own life. And I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, that has started to to happen. I would say I probably need a little more time to see the full thing.
Yeah, obviously you've got a long full life to go yet, so yeah, plenty of time for more puzzle pieces to
Yeah.
fall into place. Now it's time for that big question for you, where you
Oh,
put in
okay.
all your chips. How do you see the universe working? Is this a matrix or is it something else?
Oh yeah. Well, I do think that no matter what we define as mind and matter, or whether the universe is just mental or if it's mental and physical, let's just assume there is a mental and a physical. I think that my experience has been that there's a correlation between the two that's tighter than physicalism or materialism assumes. So I do think that, um, I mean, actually, it makes me sad. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like mind is just so ignored. And I don't just mean mind, like, I mean, like, mind, heart, you know, but like, yeah, if it's mind and matter, like, mind is so ignored. And I actually think it has a huge relationship and correlation with matter. I think there's a lot of things that stand in the way. I don't think it's as easy as people can make it sound, but I do think there is a relationship there that has been ignored for a long time. And consciousness, if we have to look at the models of reality, I do think I tend towards consciousness as being fundamental versus
Gotcha.
matter being fundamental. I definitely lean far more in that camp.
So
than matter.
you're with consciousness creates the matter,
Yeah,
and
I think
which
so.
then creates more consciousness and then spirals it more, presumably, rather than the other way
Yeah,
around.
right. So yeah, the
Hmm.
relationship between mind and matter being consciousness is the foundation. I think. I feel maybe. We'll
It's
see.
a hard one to know, and it is whether we here create all that's around us, or somebody else has created this for us to play in, like a sandpit.
Yeah,
And we're
play.
still
Yeah.
creating within it, but you know what I mean? We're building sandcastles in the sandpit, but
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
no. That's a
That's a
roundabout
good
way
one.
of asking you, I suppose, if you believe in a creator or a god.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I caught that. I don't. Yeah, let me think for a sec. It does feel like most likely there is a higher coherence. Um, I don't know why I want to use that word. Like a level above our individual level, like there's a higher coherence. Is it intelligent in the way that we think of intelligence? I don't know. But I do feel like there's a higher order.
Yeah, I do as well. I can't quite put my finger on it either. And I'm reluctant to say it's God, because that to me that sounds too man made, too
Yeah,
religiony.
I don't. Yeah, that doesn't resonate with me.
Hmm.
Not there's anything bad with that. It just doesn't feel right to me anymore.
Yeah, and I'm exactly on the same path as that. This next question then: are you afraid of death?
Um, I
Harsh question, I know, but
don't know. I used to not be afraid of death. Um, I'm like, it's funny, intellectually, after everything I've been through, I shouldn't be afraid of death.
that's why I asked it. Yeah.
Um, but I feel like, uh, I mean, I feel like I still am. But if I'm just being honest,
Hmm.
emotionally, but yeah, I mean, intellectually, I don't think it's the end at all. So intellectually, no, but emotionally, um, if someone was like jump off a cliff today, yeah, I think I'd be scared.
Oh yeah, yeah, I would be as well. It's just whether or not you fear the death. It's like other people have said to me they fear the pain of their end, not necessarily
Mm,
their end.
yes, yeah, I definitely fear the pain or whatever, like the method or and the moment of awareness.
Yeah.
I feel like that would just be like, oh my God.
Like I do not want anyone to tie me to train tracks as an example, and then I have to see it
Oof.
coming.
Yeah,
You
that
know,
would
like the
not be
hooded
good.
claw.
But I'm not too like worried about, yeah, I'm not worried about afterward. Like I do have, I mean, I think sounds nice. I don't know. Sounds like it'll be okay. Sounds like, I mean, I did have an experience, on one, I had an experience on a psychedelic that
Hmm.
it was like that. Like I dissolved and I didn't exist anymore in my personality, and I just became the entire universe, all of space and time and everything. I was like, and it was beautiful. And I ended up thinking afterward, I was like, I think that's what death is, or I think that's what happens after. I think that's what it is. And I mean, it was amazing. So, um, I mean, it was like, there's no words. So it was just, it was everything. And there was no worry. There was no nothing. It was just great. So
See,
I do have that experience and under my belt, and I think about that when I think about death. And like when my friend died, we had talked about that experience. And because he had asked me, do you think you know what death feels like now because of that experience? And I had said yes. And um, so when I found out he passed, I was like, at least I feel like, or like I hope it was like
it's
that.
helpful. Yeah, you. I think it was helpful for him. I would say. So that's a positive. Um, I want to ask you about that dissolving experience, right? Were there colours, sounds, or none of that? You know,
Colors.
smells, colours, sounds.
Oh,
What did you
no.
see, stroke,
Oh.
experience? If you dissolved and you were everything, I know it's going to be hard to put into words, but what was it like?
Yeah, no, it was like I was there 1 second, like me, and then I was gone. And I can't even explain that, but there was no like me as an entity anymore. And then and then what I can only describe as my, and not my, but I became awareness, and it and it was an actual feeling of enormous expansion. So when I say being everything, but so expanded that, like, actually I had this like, what's it called? Like, knowing that I was at the edge of the universe, like, and I went right up to the edge of the universe in every direction, like it was a sphere or
Hmm.
something, and I was pushing it out. Like that's how big I was, or but there's no I, but that's how big awareness was. And it was there was a awareness in every like dot of existence in that huge
That's
space. So if
big.
it was
Yeah.
like it was like it was a huge universe and it was expanding, it was never ending, and there was consciousness or awareness in every like point of fabric of atom, molecule, electron, like in the whole thing. And I was all of it. I was all of it.
That's weird, isn't it? See, now I'd like to experience that myself, right? But I'd be too scared of doing any druggy stuff to get me there.
I mean, it is kind of scary. I mean, yeah, looking back, it's you have to be able to let go. Because I remember at first the like it was pulling me and I was resisting, and then finally I let go. And then you have to let go to get to the expansion. And if you're too scared and you don't let go, then it can be a nightmare.
Yeah, so sod that. I won't be doing that. Um, Taking us back towards the start of our conversation with your mum and nan looking at coffee grounds and intuiting stuff. Was it the coffee grounds that had the information in it, or is that just a portal for them through to get to the wider consciousness field or whatever?
Think it's just a um yeah, I mean, I think most of it came through my mom, like just what she's saying. But what's interesting is with the coffee, like there are pictures and like you can see them, when she says something. And so I do think there's one of the theories is that the universe is holographic, and that every small piece holds the whole, like has everything. And sometimes I think of the coffee like that, that it's almost like snapshots of whatever you're asking come through. But I do think in our case, like a lot of it just came through my mom, like what she
Hmm.
would say. Yeah.
So almost like a metaphor, isn't it? The coffee grounds for a window or
Yeah, it
something
kind of
somewhere else.
helps, it anchor it like for you, but it's not necessary.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. By the way, my nan used to read tea leaves in
Oh,
a similar way, so I understand it. I presume that's a remnant of the time that they lived in, whereas that was a big
yeah.
method of getting that information. Whereas today it
Yeah.
might be something different, but it's
Mhm.
interesting to know that that is a portal to the same information. Is all,
Right.
and I
Yeah.
like that.
I think it's like, well, I studied altered states a lot, and basically, like, altered states are where or how the information can come in like more easily because your conscious, like, noisy mind is just turned off. So, like, even just staring at the coffee, or the tea leaves, or I don't know if Tyler Henry is like a famous
Oh, I
Hollywood
know him. Yeah, I
medium.
saw his
But
Netflix
when he
show.
does readings, he scribbles, right? He
That's
kind of
right.
just
Yeah, yeah,
scribbles. And that's kind of the same notion is like just get into some kind of trance state. So I think anything like that is helpful to receiving.
yeah. Scrying is another one, and fire gazing and all that
Yeah.
sort of. Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, stargazing.
Before we enter the Koit zone and wrap up, I have one nice question for you, which is this. Besides what you've already gone through with me, tell me of another strange scenario that happened in your life. So something strange. Could be a strange person you met, just a strange experience, anything.
A strange experience.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is from a funny one from college.
Hmm.
I was obsessed with this band, Phantom Planet. And I would, well, while I was studying, I would daydream about them like all the time, like meeting the band and hanging out with them. And then they came to our like I think it was senior year. They came to our college. We had this festival, this concert every year, and they got chosen as I think Ludacris was the headliner, but they were one of the bands.
Hmm.
And so I was so excited, whatever. And then my classmates and I went to the event. And th this event was like the event of the year. You would skip class, you would start drinking like as soon as you woke up. So by the time you get to the concert, you're already blown. So I got to the concert. I lost my friends and then I lost my phone. It fell out of my pocket. And I was so disoriented because I was just tired, like from being up and around and running around all day. So I walked off to the side of the whatever the pit, like the audience pit, just because I was like, I need a breath and I don't know what to do. Don't have friends and I don't have a phone. And so I pulled over and I was leaning on the chain link fence and this that was separating the audience from the backstage because it was just like a field. They turned into a stage, and this guy throws over a pass and he's holding it. And then I look up and he's like, take it. And I was like, what is it? And he's like, it's a backstage pass. Just take it. And he's like, show the guy like in the corner. So I took it and I was like, it's not a backstage pass. He's lying to me. But I went up to the other guy and I showed it to him and he let me backstage. And I got to meet Phantom Planet and hang out with them while I tried to find, well, I couldn't find my friends. They were obviously not backstage. But then I ended up running into someone I know who, like a friend who was running the concert later. And he's like, what are you doing back here? It's like, I have no idea. Someone just gave me a backstage pass. And then he helped me find my friends. But it was super fun. And I remember thinking, I was like, I've daydreamed about this moment for like a year. And then I actually got to do it and it was really cool. So that was
And
really
was it as
weird.
good as you daydreamed?
It was. They were
Ah,
really
good.
nice. Yeah, I mean, I was a super drunk, nerdy college student. I was like, I love you guys. I was like, I'm always listening to your music while I study. I read all your blogs.
And now you wonder why that pass went over. Because they knew. There you go.
He probably was like, this girl looks really lost. Let me help her out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. Speaking of, I need to know what's in your flask there. What's in your cup?
Oh, water. It's just water. I'm always
Oh,
thirsty.
no, fair
Hi.
play. I always have to ask. I like to know what people drink. It's
Just
fun.
water.
That's fair enough. I have the same. Um, Mona, we are now entering the Koit zone. Koit zone! So, Koit zone, more strange questions, just more fun, more throwaway. So let's start with this one. What is your favourite film?
My favorite film.
Yeah,
Wow. Moulin Rouge.
Moulin Rouge. Whoa, that's not been said before. I like it.
Oh,
I don't think I've ever seen it actually, Moulin Rouge.
I love it.
Is that blasphemy that I've never seen it?
You should watch it. It's
Well, I'm
very
gonna have
weird,
to now.
but it's cute. I like it. Yeah.
Excellent, cool, thank you. What is your favourite piece of clothing to wear?
My favorite piece. I love dresses. I love flowy summer dresses.
Awesome, awesome. Um, which band have you seen live the most?
Oh, the most? Um, that's a good question. It's either Kings of Leon or the who is it?
I thought you were gonna say Backstreet Boys then.
No, I did see the Backstreet Boys like twice. When I was younger. It's either Kings of Leon or the Black Keys. Um, or Maroon 5. I did love Maroon 5
Maroon 5. Ah.
before.
This
Yeah.
love is... That's that one, isn't it?
Yeah, I saw them in college again when like they were not that famous yet at like the San Diego County Fair.
Fair play, fair play. Um, do you have a favourite flavour of crisps, or what you might call chips?
Off Doritos. I love Doritos nacho cheese.
Nacho cheese, the cheese flavour. Yeah, yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
Mhm.
The problem with them, they're
Those-
so Moorish, you can demolish a whole big bag of them. That's the problem.
I love getting, yeah, I mean, I don't eat a lot of chips, but when I let myself indulge, go to our Costco, which is like our big warehouse store, and get the big bag of Doritos nacho cheese is just like heaven. I love it.
How big is your big bag? Is it like this big?
It's like, okay, wow,
Oh,
is it? Yeah,
Jesus.
it's not the normal size. It's like the super size.
Crikey. Americans and your supersized food.
I
This
know.
is
It's
proper mental. Do you have... no, actually, no. I'm going to ask it a different way. What is the best smell?
the best smell.
Yeah.
I really love peonies, the flower. The pink, like
I know what
they
they look
come.
like, but I can't just get their smell in my head.
They have a very obviously specific scent. But I really love the smell of peonies, a fresh peony.
Mm-mm-mm. There you go. Well, I can't join you on that journey in my mind, but fair play. For you, what is the best time of day?
Um, Gosh, I don't know. I do really like nighttime. I like twilight also, like evening. I like taking walks during twilight. I think that is my favorite time of day, actually, because it's like a transition time. It feels nice. Twilight.
Especially in the summer when it's still warm out. That said, did
Yeah.
you say you're in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
bloody always hot there, isn't it?
Yes.
Regardless. It doesn't matter when you go out, it's just hot. Um,
True.
besides work related things, what are you really awesome at? I.e., like singing or dancing or some other skill.
Uh, I'm pretty good at baking. I really enjoy painting. I don't know if I'm very good at it. I'm not, I mean, I don't know any styles or anything, but yeah, baking.
That's all right. And what you know when you bake, right? What is your
Mhm.
go-to item that you think that is bloody ace?
I really like making pies the most. And there's a berry pie that I really love to make in the summer. That's my favorite one of all time.
Berry pie. There you
Mhm.
go. Nice one. Thank you. Um, have you had any recurring dreams?
Yes, I have like a tsunami, or not a tsunami. It's like just big ocean waves crashing on the shore, type, which I think people say is anxiety.
There's that
Or
wave
like,
motif again. Have you noticed?
oh yeah, you're right. Oh, I didn't. Yeah. I mean, that's what it, and that's because that's what the emotions feel like just
Everything
so,
is it
yeah.
destructive or is it just a metaphor for change?
Yeah, I think it's just, I mean, it's fear. Like in the dream, it's usually fear and it never gets me. Like I'll be on land. It'll just be the fear of like seeing a big wave crack coming towards crashing,
Yeah.
to the wherever I'm like standing on a cliff, like crashing into it. So it's, and I've always had that though, that like even before the Kundalini, like always recurring dreams about the ocean. Somebody once told me it was anxiety, and I was like,
Hmm.
it feels more like fear in the dream, but yeah.
Have you had it since that Kundalini, by the way?
Oh yeah, I still have them,
Oh, okay.
unfortunately. But
Interesting.
I'm actually curious to see like when some of the bigger like fear resolves, like if the my dreams will change or those will finally resolve.
Yeah, I had recurring dreams in my life, and I resolved it or them by
Mhm.
moving jobs, which took away this massive recurring dream I kept having, which was I
Oh,
was like
interesting.
walking, like I was stuck in mud. It took so much effort just to lift one leg forward, you know. And that was, I
Wow.
think, because I was stuck in a job I didn't like, so I was going nowhere. As soon as I left that job, that never happened again. So
Oh,
I'm always keen to
interesting.
know if there's a resolution to people's recurring dreams and how they got rid of it.
Yeah. I'll keep you posted.
Well, yeah, that's loads of things you've got to let me know about now. It's a lot of homework. What animal or creature on Earth gives you the creeps?
The creeps.
Yeah.
Oh. Mm. Well, it used to be snakes, but now I have this like um different relationship with snakes because of the Kundalini. Um, gives me the creeps. I like lizards, those are cute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like eels.
There's a
They
snaky sort of theme, though, isn't there?
I know. It's basically a snake in the water. Um,
Yeah. Bloody eels. They're
those are
always trying to get you.
nasty. Oh, yeah. Oh, cockroaches also
Oh, yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, that's to be fair, they are grim. They are quite creepy. Last question in the Koit zone. If you somehow got a ticket to travel to space, would you go?
No.
No.
No. I'm not
Not
interested.
even not even the scientific logical part of your brain wants to go for the experience.
I could just remote view space. I don't need to get
Ah,
into a
that's fair enough.
spacecraft.
That's a backdoor cheat, but fair play. That is the end of the Coit Zone. So we have two final questions before wrapping up. So first of which, what else do you like to do in your downtime? Any activities, stroke guilty pleasures?
Uh, yeah, well, I obviously love reading, but running, hiking, yoga, and then during this Kundalini time, I've started doing like plastic like lanyard designs. It's just like a way to get the energy out or like keep myself busy. So that's become like my new hobby, painting, obviously. Still love painting. So yeah.
So you'll be opening a lanyard shop soon, will you?
Yeah, look, I made all these.
Ah, there you go. Bangles and things. Yeah, fair play. Fair play. Last question. Is there a project you're currently working on? Is there a next book?
Oh, the project I'm working on is just me and this awakening, but taking copious notes on the experience and like cataloging the things I've tried, the devices I've used, and what's helped and what hasn't. So, yeah, I might write about it one day, but I don't even think about that right now because I'm so like in it. But that's really what I'm working on, and it's a full-time job.
But
Like,
it's interesting
and
you're doing that though, taking the notes, meaning you must have thought in your head, I'm doing this for a reason. It's got to culminate somewhere.
well, yeah, it's just been such a interesting journey. Like, but wow, I don't want to forget. And then, of course, it's like if it ends up being helpful to someone else, I probably should take notes if there's something that helped me the most.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've definitely been. It's just such a rare thing, you know. Like, it's also good to just document it, I think.
Well, fair play to you. Thank you for being authentic and honest and open with me today. I've really appreciated that. I really appreciated this conversation. So thank you ever so much, Mona. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me and for all the good questions. This was fun.
Excellent. Thank you ever so much. Everyone listening and watching, check the link in the descriptions to Mona's site. There will be exciting things on there, and go and have a look at the book. Go and buy it. Get it down, yeah. Good information. Thank you to everyone, and thank you to you, Mona.
Thank you.
Right. Bye bye. To watch other KoitCast episodes, please click the image top left. To subscribe to my channel, please click the image top right. Please like and share to help KoitCast grow, and most importantly of all, please click the notification bell so you never miss an upload.